Hey, this is me building a $2 million a year business in public. Last month, I made $170,000 in profit. The way that this works is I start with some Q&A just to incentivize people to leave comments on this channel. I also like to reward the people that have been watching for a while, help them answer their questions. So if you've been watching for a while, you want me to answer one of your questions, just drop a comment down below. I eventually get back to all of them. Then I cover some growth stats just so you guys can see what growth in a brand approximately my size looks like over the course of 24 hours. Then finally, I ran it with some live strategy. Today, we're going to be continuing on my pattern here of doing churn reduction, just because churn reduction is currently the highest ROI thing for me to do. And I just like to focus on things that are pretty high ROI, as I'm sure you guys can imagine. Okay, so here is the main channel, 68,563 subs, hell yeah. And then here is the daily updates channel where I answer your questions. I've already scrolled down to the bottom of my comments chain. Currently looks like we are 3 days out. The first question is from the lovely Srihari5423. It says, I've been binging Nick's stuff the past few days, solve each problem step by step. But Nick, all this sounds too good to be true. Tell me about it. Like each automation only takes me an hour or two to build and does not cost that much. We're supposed to sell it to people at like 1,000 to 2,000 USD. Oh, way more than that, my man. So what in this industry does not get talked about much? Like there needs to be some kind of trade-off, no? Thanks for reading. I mean, there is a trade-off for sure, but I want you to know that there does exist some situations in life where you could spend less effort and get more result, right? Like, not everything scales one-to-one with effort. So I used to do demolition construction and I would work my ass off full, maybe 8 to 10 hour day. And I'd come home with drywall dust baked between my eyelashes. And, I'd take a shower and I'd still feel gross and icky and all my muscles would be sore and they'd be banging all the time as I'm like, tearing down a granite countertop or something like that. That is what I would consider a very high effort to low reward sort of position, right? But there are also a variety of positions in which you can add substantially less effort and receive a much larger reward, just like AI automation, for instance. So instead of you putting in, an 8 to 10 hour a day, banging some granite or a countertop or some bathroom tile or something, you could spend a little bit of time learning, maybe initially, and then you could simply direct your effort in a way that delivers like a high return on effort, return on your time. So anyway, what I guess I'm trying to say is, while it's true that some things are too good to be true, this isn't really in the realm of too good to be true. This is just in the realm of easier than a lot of other things that you could do per unit income, I would say. So there isn't really much in this industry that doesn't get talked about much because I talk about everything. But yeah, probably like the biggest stumbling block for people is just getting to the point where they can create like profitable or systems that generate revenue for people and not like talking themselves out of it, just kind of like you are here. So I would just encourage you to, trust the process. If you jumped in maker school or something, just do the day by day. We have totally non-technical people that have never dragged and dropped a system in their entire lives, start making, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month within their first 30 days. So I think it's very possible for you. I mean, aside from that, I'm just trying to think, what are some other caveats? Like, it's really just sales, right? Like, let's be real. It's just sales. So, I mean, the same stuff that I talk about is the same thing that you'd really see in any sort of sales position. You just need to learn what customer pain points are. You need to learn how to conceptualize your solution as a way to solve the customer pain points, which are usually, revenue or margins or some sort of chaos. And as long as that's not how you spell chaos. As long as you can do that, you could sell anything. It's just all about the perceived value. How do I pitch retainers to clients? I do suggest them automations now, yeah. They don't pay me every month for a single automation, but there are a variety of ways you could do it. You could just set up a single automation and then just manage it once a month, like a cold email agency, for instance, where you set up some automations that like scrape leads for the guy at a specific cadence every month, maybe 10,000 leads, and then you just manage the outbound. You could do like some CRM management package. So there's actually a lot to go on here, but I have talked about this at length in some previous vids. So I will just leave it up to you to scroll through the daily updates channel, look for the term retainer, and I think you'll find a bunch. All right. So I think we've had some great comments here. Thank you very much, J760. Super stoked. Let's move on to Josue Hernandez. He says, hey, Nick, hope you're doing well. Thanks for all the amazing content. Starting my agency, I've been learning Making AI for about 4 months. I'm confident in my skills and right 4 months. Wow. And I'm ready to help businesses. My brother, you could have been helping businesses 3 months ago. Do you recommend I start working with businesses now to gain experience and credibility? Well, there's your answer. Should I spend a couple more months learning AI voice agents first? Yeah, no, just start, man. You got to start. Dude, the distance between a total beginner and then somebody that can actually build systems that do impact revenue, it's like 2 weeks, man. You've been at this stuff for 8 times that length. You just got to get to putting yourself in front of customers, my friend. You could have had your first customer like 4 months ago, realistically, 3.5 months ago. So you just got to just cut it all. You know more than enough at this point to get out there and do something that actually drives revenue. Just go out there, do something that drives revenue. Okay, Cairo Flow AI says, Python and LangChain, Lang, Flow, or Make NA, which is a better approach to make AI automation and agents? I don't really know. I haven't made an agent in Python ever, or LangChain. I mean, I played around with LangChain before, made some like agents way back in the day before they could do anything. But yeah, nowadays, most of these agentic sort of flows are just built in NA10. So that'd be my rec. I don't think that agents are a good solution for many business use cases, but that's what I would recommend. I see you've double posted here, so I'm just going to remove your second comment, okay? Mr. Wildgod says, I recently got my second client. Congratulations. When he asked me how long the project would take, I said I had no idea. I'm wondering, how do you deal with having multiple clients at the same time? How do you think about pricing and how long the project takes? My immediate reaction is thinking that if I can't have it done ASAP, then I'd lose them, but I'm probably wrong. Fair enough. Also, can you tell me how you think about pricing a retainer? For context, the job is about simplifying a Notion CRM by creating a flowchart of it and then reducing redundancies around unused parts, along with automating as much as possible of the whole sales system. That sounds pretty reasonable. How do I deal with having multiple clients at the same time? Well, typically, I always front load lead gen. So me having multiple clients does not actually appreciably change like my lead gen time. So I don't know, maybe I spend like 1.5 hours a day on this or something like that. This is usually what it looks like, to be honest. Like if you think about it, in my case, since my major revenue driver is no longer agency stuff, it's community stuff. What's my main lead gen? It's making videos. So like I make content for at least an hour and a half a day, right? So that's what I do regardless. Then I have some other priority now. This is going to depend on what you are doing, but I think in your case, you could do fulfillment here. So maybe you time block the first hour and a half of your day. And then after the first hour and a half of your day is done, then you juggle your clients. And the way that I used to do things was like, I've experimented with a variety of methods of doing this. Okay. Like basically every method under the sun. I've experimented with blocking specific days for specific clients. I've experimented with having every day available to all clients. Nowadays, what I'll do is I just go through the list and I basically say, okay, how many clients do I have? 5 clients? Okay, great. What do I have to do for the first client? Nothing. What do I have to do for the second client? I have to do this little thing. What do I have to do for the third client? Nothing. What do I have to do for the fourth client? Do this little thing. I just go through them top to bottom with honestly a really simple to-do list. Same thing that you guys have seen in previous videos, just like a Godspeed notes app. I make sure to contact the client essentially with some sort of progress update on where I'm at. And I'm just really communicative. I have a window of time available between 12 to 2 p.m. PT where if a client sends me a message, I tell them I'm going to get back to them within 15 minutes or so. So typically I actually do most of my client fulfillment right there during that 12 p.m. till 2 p.m. PT window. And yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to really say more just because there's so many different forms and shapes that these can take. You are wrong that if you can't have it done ASAP, you'll lose them. Yeah, for sure. Because what's interesting is when I started taking a little bit longer to fulfill client requests, they actually liked it more. I think this has to do with like the perceived amount of effort. And like if the client perceives something as taking more effort, they tend to also increase the value. So there's actually kind of like a relationship here. So like if you try and finish something in like, I don't know, let's say 1 day, that's what this is. They'll give you like 1 unit of perceived value. But if you do something in like 7 days, I usually do things in like 4 business days, right? That's like my little magic number there. And then that means that I can do it like this week, I can do it next week. It gives me a lot of freedom. You can receive like a lot more perceived effort because there's a lot more that like supposedly goes into the system. Honestly, when you're juggling multiple clients and stuff, like don't just, if a client asks you something, don't just do it right there. Okay. Do it on your time. Like do it after you're done with your lead gen for the day. Do it between that 12 to 2 p.m. PT window. And then, yeah, pricing a retainer, same way that I price everything else, just value pricing. So try and figure out what value you're going to be driving to the customer on a monthly basis. And then if it's like revenue-based value, so if you're just like selling new deals for them with some cold email system or something, then charge about 30% of that. And then if it's savings-based, aka it's like ground truth, bottom line money that you're saving, you charge up to about 50% of that, I would say. So play around with those 2 numbers. Of course, these are all just approximations. Steve says, what's the point of learning automation when I can position myself with someone able, when I can position myself with someone able to sell even low ticket? Did you mean you can't? Probably you can't, right? I can't sign up on Upwork because of being underage. Secondly, it would be the best and most economical way to get quality leads. I really want to sell a service for the first time. Any quick valuable tips also? Thanks. Yeah, my recommendation for people in your shoes to stuff, if you're like too young to join, let's say a freelance platform, which to be honest is very straightforward. If you're on a freelance platform, like you don't actually have to learn most of sales. You just jump on and then you just tell the customer why you're the better pick than the 1,000 other freelancers to do a specific job, right? Like it's not like sales. It's actually pretty easy. You just like consult with them, ask them what they need. If you could do it, you just say, yeah, I could do it. And then, more often than not, you get the deal. That's why you pay money. You pay money to Upwork to make your sales job easier, okay? Which is why it's so valuable for beginners. But if you're too young to get on the freelance platform, probably the straightest line path is you take the same approach that I was applying to the freelance platform Upwork, which is where you record custom video DMs solving a specific problem for somebody. And then you just like send it to them via Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. If you have their email address, their email as well. You just blast them across all platforms with some pitch that like supposedly solves their problem. Now, this is actually a core part of what Maker School is all about. And because I am obviously trying to monetize and I'm trying to, make as much money as possible through that, I'll leave my explanation there. But I've talked about it in bits and pieces in previous videos as well. So maybe just type in like Loom outreach or video outreach or something, you'll find it. I did just do like a very detailed piece of a community exclusive inside of Maker School, where I actually talked specifically about how to structure your outreach video for cold DMs. So might be something that you want to look at. But if money is the limiting factor here for you, then that's okay. The main value of Maker School is one, organizing all of this in a simple and easy to look at roadmap. Then two, it's some sort of accountability. So if you're willing to put the time in to like piece together all that information from previous videos, feel free. Luke Pastel says, hey Nick, congrats on hitting $166,666. Hell yeah, brother. Was wondering, when your business reaches a point where your time isn't the best investment for scaling, like being overbooked or unable to onboard new clients, where would you say the highest ROI is for spending those earnings? You often emphasize hiring last, which I agree with, especially in AI automation, but I'm curious what else you suggest investing in before considering hiring. It'd be dope to hear your thoughts on this. Yeah, dude, I'll give you a whole breakdown. A very valuable thing for me was looking for consultants or people. So either specifically consultants, so like, I don't know, like a YouTube consultant or something, or I find people that are doing really, really well on YouTube or on branding or running an agency. And then I actually just say, hey, I love your stuff. I've been following you for a while. I love how you talk about X, Y, and Z. Can I pay you $500 for an hour of your time just to blitzkrieg ask you a bunch of questions? I'm not expecting anything. I have no outcome in mind. I literally just wanted to pick your brain, and I understand that providing some value up front is the best way to do so. So I did this to like 5 people, and then I just asked them a bunch of questions about basically everything. And some of them did it for me for free, believe it or not. A couple of them looked at my channel and were like, oh dude, like no problem. I just want to connect with you. That's fine, which is freaking awesome. And very indebted to those people. And then I just picked their brains for like an hour. It was sweet. So that taught me a lot about like a lot of blind spots that I didn't realize. And if you think about it, like, man, talk about an efficient conversion mechanism for years of knowledge to money. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever done like a one-on-one office hour with like a professor at school or somebody in your high school or university or college, but like when I do so, I'm like question. I'm squeezing them out like a wet towel, man. So a single hour can teach you a lot. Like, could literally take years of somebody's knowledge and just like download it into your brain. It's crazy. So yeah, from there, I actually learned a fair amount about how to do this whole personal branding thing a little bit better. And if you think about it, like I was exchanging a unit of my money for a unit of their time and their knowledge. So very, very straightforward. So I think that that's probably one of the best investments, because the more you know about some hyper nuanced thing, usually you can also ask these people for systems that they have, not like copy and paste N8N systems, but like, hey, how do you think about solving this problem? Hey, what is your system for publishing high quality YouTube videos? Hey, what is your system for fulfilling these sorts of agency projects? And then you can get like a distilled version of something that you can later implement in your business that allows you to take your current ceiling, which maybe is like, I don't know, let's just say for most people, probably about like, it's probably lower. It's probably like $20K a month. And then you learn all those systems. And then instead of you having to hire somebody, okay, now your ceiling with maybe 1 or 2 people in your organization or whatever is just 2.5x. And the only difference here is some sort of knowledge. Remember, knowledge is not the bottleneck for the vast majority of people that haven't made their first dollar with something yet, but knowledge does become the bottleneck as you scale up. And knowledge is definitely a bottleneck at $166,000, 666. Okay, thanks to Shadow Brother. Also join your school community. It's killer. Thank you, Ryan. Promise not to copy you word for word at least, no problem. Get a bunch of people asking if it's worth it and stuff. I just upgraded the price again, so it's like over $90 now. I think it's 96 or 97. But yeah, I'm just gonna let Ryan sell you on that. Dutchy NL90 says, longtime fan of your packed videos. I'm working with a Dutch enterprise client, FMCG, whose ICP is mid-sized companies in the Netherlands. They're hitting a ceiling with their current inbound lead gen efforts, mainly paid organic and affiliate channels, and many of the leads they do get are too small. Interesting. I've scheduled a deep dive session with their Dutch market team to explore AI-driven automation opportunities in sales and marketing. One idea I'm considering is implementing a cold outreach system to help them reach more qualified prospects. They're likely not open to using multiple burner domains or buying a bunch of warm-up email accounts. Why not? That's weird. So I'm thinking LinkedIn might be the best starting point for outbound. Very curious to hear what your cold outreach approach would be for a large client like this. Thanks again for all you share, and your insights are much appreciated. Why are they not open to using multiple burner domains, man? It's so weird. Like, they have like some moral process against just like buying a bunch of email accounts. Dude, like if these guys had $1,000 to spend, you could buy, well, mathematically, I think it's what? Sorry, 35. It's like $15 an email address approximately, instantly pre-warmed. Like if you had 1,000, you'd buy like 600 of those. 60. Hold on, my math sucks. Why does my math suck? 60. You could buy 60 email accounts. You could send almost 2,000 emails a day, for $1,000 a month. 2,000 emails a day is crazy, man. Like you could, even with like a really shitty, poor converting campaign, poor reply rate campaign, let's say like 2%, you get like 40 replies. So you get 40 new leads a day for this company if they just kind of get over themselves. Anyway, whatever. This is what I'm kind of talking about with, this is what I'm kind of talking about all the time with like the straightest line paths to wealth, that a lot of these big companies can't do because they have moral or legal problems behind it or whatever, is usually just doing something really boring, something that seems really lame, and something that seems kind of hacky. So like in this case, literally what's boring, lame, and hacky is just buying 66 email accounts and then just running campaigns at mass lead outreach at a 2% rate, getting 40 freaking replies a day. 50% of those are positive replies, 20 leads a day, maybe like 10 calls. Like, man, that funnel right there, assuming that you position it right and you sell it right, can print an atrocious amount of money. Crazy. Anyway, you said you're thinking LinkedIn might be the best starting point for outbound. The only issue with LinkedIn, Dutchy NL90, is, you're going to have like daily outreach limits, right? Like you can only really send 100 to maybe 150 connect requests a day on LinkedIn, I would say safely, before you start running the risk of one of your accounts being banned. So what are you going to have to do if you wanted to scale that up and do more than like, 100, I said 100 to 150 per week. What are you going to want to do if you want to send more than 20 outbound LinkedIn connection requests a day? Jesus. I just hit the gym and mad cardio, and I'm not really thinking properly, so bear with me. So if you can send 100 per week, let's say, that comes out to about 20 per day, okay? So you're sending 20 per day. If you had, I don't know, let's say a 10% reply, then you'd have 2 replies a day, right? Well, we were just contrasting 2 replies a day with 40 replies a day, right? Because of the super low limit, if you wanted to approximate the same sort of result you get over email, your only path would be to buying a bunch of LinkedIn accounts anyway, which presumably runs into the same issues that they have not wanting to buy, outbound email accounts and stuff like that. So yeah, man, that's my take on it. Honestly, I would just be like, hey, so can we understand like what exactly is stopping you guys from this? They're in the Netherlands and stuff, so a lot of Netherlands guys are always worried about like GDPR and whatnot. I mean, if you target like US clients and if you work through your company or something like that, it's not a big deal. But, I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. Maybe at some point in the next 5 years, somebody will like finally put the hammer down on cold email and there'll be some big high profile case. You just got to think about it, man. Like the people that are actually using this stuff for nefarious purposes, they send like 1 million emails a day that are all spam, right? Like, is somebody really going to come to you sending 300 emails a day, or Joe Schmo sending 500 emails a day, and your stuff is AI personalized and it's hyper relevant? You're actually doing something cool. You're actually, contacting people for something that isn't like a Nigerian print scam. I just don't really see the logic really working out in any way, to any conclusion other than, email's totally cool, and just keep gunning it. All right, Sarcasm says, hey, Nick, I know you mentioned this is going to be my last question. I know you mentioned having multiple YouTube channels for this one. What do you think made this one work? Why do you think the others didn't? I know there was a gap and not many people making content like you when you were starting, but do you think there's anything you've learned over now that can be applied in other niches to where someone can launch a channel today and actually get it in the algorithm? Or would you say it's just luck, LOL? Well, it's definitely not luck. It's definitely not all luck. I mean, I'm sure there's a component of being in the right place at the right time, of course, but yeah, like I bet you if you dropped me anywhere, I would have eventually had some sort of major success, just because there's some systems that I consistently apply to YouTube that you'd be able to apply to social media. The biggest thing that made this one work is the ratio between the amount of time I put into a production and then the finished production time. What I mean is, if I spend 60 minutes creating a video, I usually get like 55 to 60 minutes of completed video. So my effort is an hour, and then the output is about an hour. Previously, I would spend 10 hours to make 30 minutes of content. So I ran this channel. I read this really good body language book called What Every Body Is Saying by Joe Navarro. Lovely guy. He's like a former FBI interrogation expert or consultant or something. And he basically learned like that there are a couple of very particular tells that people will engage in when they're lying or when they're nervous or when they're really excited. And you can actually like spot those on like, camera footage of people in an interrogation room. And you can make inferences as to like, okay, they're probably lying about something, or that question really freaked them out for some reason. So I read this really good book, and then I started a body language YouTube channel that was all about breaking down body language of like celebrities on interviews and stuff. So I think I did one of like the royals, like Harry and whatever her name is. Sorry, I don't know much about the royals, but I did a bunch on like the cast of Supernatural. I did a couple on like Homelander in The Boys, right? And it was cool. It was really interesting sort of content. And I did sort of conversational style like this, but me like breaking down their stuff. The issue is it just took way too much time to produce. And I was like really worried about production quality. So what did that mean? At the end of the day, that meant that it was unsustainable for me to continue producing content for a very long period of time. And what is the big lever that I have found, the magic secret sauce to grow on YouTube? It is to produce content consistently every day for a very long period of time. If you could set your life up and set your content format up to answer the question, how do I maximize the content that I produce for the next year, not to answer the question, how do I get the highest quality piece of content out today? Then, or, like how do I get the highest quality next piece of content out? If you build a lifestyle around this and you build systems that enable you just get it out in as little amount of time as possible, the likelihood of you actually keeping that up over a long period of time is really high. And that's basically the main change that I did. I just produced all the time. So yeah, I didn't produce all the time because I'm a very hard worker, although I think I'm a pretty hard worker. But it was just because I made my life really easy so I could just produce consistently with reasonable quality, of course. What kinds of questions you ask clients on a sales pitch? Here are a bunch. So why me? You get a ton of outreach every single day. What made you want to talk to me? I mean, you've gotten 50 cold emails in the last 24 hours, and one of them was mine. What made mine stand out? Have you solved this before? Have you tried to solve this before? Okay, so tell me about that. What happened last time you tried to solve this? Did you hire somebody to do this? What made it work? What made it not work? Okay, cool. How much is a client worth to you? AOV, CLV, these are like 3-letter acronyms that stand for average order value or customer lifetime value. So I say stuff like, all right, like run me through this. Let's say like, you do get a customer. What are you selling them first? Oh, okay, interesting. What sort of funnel do you typically have run them through? So you meet with them through like an email that, one of your colleagues refers you to. That's cool. What happens after that? Do you like jump on a sales call right away? Do you send a calendar? Well, sometimes I send a calendar. Sometimes I just like call them on the phone. All right, that's cool. And what do you guys usually talk about on the call? We talk about this. All right, do you normally close them on the call, or do you like have some sort of proposal system? Well, I have some sort of proposal system. Oh, that's really cool. Do you mind if I take a look at it really quickly? Oh, nice. You ask about this and that, huh? Cool. How do you manage the payments? All right, cool. When somebody pays, what typically happens? Oh, nice. And what sort of average order value are we talking here? 2,500, 3,500, 2,500? Okay, sweet. If you get 10 calls, hypothetically, how many of those calls are you realistically closing? And you can just rough estimate. I just want to work some numbers out in my head. Oh, you closed 3. So 3 out of 10. Hey, wow, that's crazy. So if you get 10 calls, you're making like $7,500, eh? Wow. All right. Well, let's work through this. What happens after they're on the, what happens after they convert to a client? Nice. You start doing some fulfillment. And what does that look like? Okay. Weekly checkups. Do you sync them with anybody else in your team? All right. So you have some kickoff call, onboarding call. And then what happens after you're done with all this? Do you send them some sort of like reminder follow-up email? How do you deliver the project? Do you get them to like leave you reviews? I basically ask all these questions and more under the sun from start to finish, just to get a feel for how much the average order value is, how much the client is worth, and then what the customer journey is like. What is Journey? One of the greatest bands of all time. Rude Jude Lee says, I started with this new AI cold email offer. Oh, hold on. I think I'm done for time, right? Yeah, sorry. I got to leave it there. Sorry, Rude. I'm being a little rude to you, but I think I'll leave it there. All right, let's do some brand stats with the remainder of my time. It is currently April the 7th, 2025, as of the time of this recording, and my main channel has just hit 68,578. Thank you, Tree Frog. We had 778 subs in the last 24 hours. My God, is this way the hell up, man. We are going to hit 100,000 pretty soon. Think about it. If the average here, let's see what the average is over the last 7 days. Average is 604, right? So if right now I am 31,422 away, I'm 52 days. So I'm like a month and a half out. So realistically, I should like hit it in the very beginning of June, assuming that I don't, screw up majorly or stop posting consistently or something. Wild. Oh man, I can't wait for that plaque. That's gonna be really cool. Anyway, 79,604 on Instagram. We're a little bit slower yesterday than I thought. I thought we were gonna hit 80K yesterday. We ended up hitting just under 80K. So we're gonna hit that some point today. And then this is 2465. And I have sort of like an optional thing that I'm gonna throw in sometimes, and it's just all about my churn reduction. So Maker School just hit, we're so close to $100,000 MRR. Churn was actually 19% yesterday. So it fluctuates. It's last 30-day counting. So sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. But yeah, the other day it was literally 19%, 19.2 or something. So what is this showing me? Well, the other day, I published a community exclusive where I showed people how to structure a video application over Loom or something, right? And this is part of my community exclusive churn reduction strategy, which you guys could watch yesterday or the day before's video if you guys want context on that. And it's working. We're literally reducing churn, which is crazy. Yeah, it was like 22%, a few weeks ago? Now it's at, we're reaching some 19% days. What do I actually think is reasonable for churn? It's tough for me to say. I think 15% is reasonable. I don't know for sure, but I think 15% is reasonable, okay? And now that we hit 1,500 members and I increased the price again and stuff, yeah, like I need to sort out what I think is reasonable and how much money I can make. Let's just say we're doing 100K MRR, right? Which is about where we're at. It's not exactly, but it's close. At 20%, just to, again, conceptualize the value of the problem, the lifetime value of this is $500,000. That's just how the churn math works. Basically, if I just lose, 20% of the group or whatever, that's how much. It's just a quick, I think it's like an annuity calculation or something. But you basically just take 1 divided by 0.2 equals 5 multiplied by this. That's a lifetime. So if I were to reduce this to 15%, right? Then this would actually equal 1 divided by 0.15, which is 6, times 100,000 would be 666,000. So basically, if I can do this, then I make myself 166 grand, which is awesome. That's cool. If you think about it, this is stretched out over 6 months or so. So I actually end up making myself like about an additional 20% MRR, essentially. Like I lose 5% less of the things that are currently draining my MRR. So like right now, my growth is like, it was like this, right? Now it's kind of like this. And I'm sure at some point, well, my growth isn't there yet. It's probably kind of like this, but I'm sure if I just continue going, eventually I'll cap out. That's how churn math works, right? And maybe I cap out at like 1650 or so. That seems to be the number that a lot of these communities are capping out at. I'm currently over here at like 1520. So I'm heading there. But if I can reduce my churn, then what's going to happen is it's actually going to look like this. Oops. So I'm going to get to go a lot farther. And this is actually like, this could be a 5% difference, and it's going to make like a massive difference to my bottom line, right? I don't know. I could be making like an additional 50K MRR there. So yeah, man, the churn reduction math is real, and it's where all the money is. That's why SaaS companies care so much about minimizing churn. So yeah, today I just want to talk a little bit more about that churn minimization. Yesterday or a couple days ago or whenever I did that, I ended up with a bunch of churn reduction community exclusives. This is my schedule. So I did them. And I did that yesterday, I think. Maybe April the 5th now. Sorry, I guess 2 days ago. So April the 5th. So I'm just going to do these every 2 days from now on. So I'm going to do another one for April the 10th. We'll do another one on April the 15th. We'll do another one on April the 20th. We'll do another one on April the 25th. Yeah. And then that should run me through basically the entirety of April. And then I'll actually be able to like analyze rolling 30 days. How much does this help me? So I guess I got to just, I got to do this for sure. I'm gonna have to record this video. I mean, I could record it today, I mean, I am pretty busy today. I don't know if I'll actually be able to record it today. That'd be kind of cool though, right? How about the rest of these? So what else did I say? Weekly calls for Maker School and add an additional Nick event to make money with Make. Right. So I need to, yeah. This is probably like the biggest outstanding question mark. My mid-ticket offer, I want to say. If this is my YouTube and Instagram, then this is my funnel, Maker School. Make money with Make is kind of over here. I don't really have like a super high ticket offer yet. Okay. But this is jammed. Nobody else is getting through here. It's full. Yeah, we're at 400 members. We've basically been capped out. Nobody's churning anymore, or very few people are churning, and we have a big ass wait list. So I need to solve this. So I am now starting to really consider bumping up the cap from 400 to 500 while also increasing the price a lot. And to reflect the massive increase in price, I'm going to add a lot of value. So instead of this right now being 128 a month, and I'll lock in everybody that's signed up, obviously, I'm thinking of doing something in like the 200s. And basically, strategically, what I'm considering doing is this will increase the group size by 1/4, right? So I need to add much, much more than 25% additional value, because if we're going to distill the group size 25%, my mental calculus is I need to add at least 5x that value. So I need to make the group at least twice as good. And then, because I'll be making it twice as good, I can obviously justify the increase in price. And I haven't increased the price in I don't know, it's been like 6 months anyway, even though I have added a ton of value to the community. So yeah, what I'm thinking of doing is taking this from 128 to 200 something. Okay. So make this firmly mid-ticket, going annual still. So when you get in, you now have like an annual cost of like 2,000 something bucks. And then once you're in, you get like maybe bi-weekly calls with me. You get some sort of like initial coaching thing with me where I run you through what I think you need to do in order to get to the next level. Maybe I just get to record a Loom video for every new entrant or something like a customized Loom video. And then, you can join weekly calls and stuff like that. So what I guess I need to do is I need to pitch people on the idea of this, which kind of sucks, man. Like I don't really want to do this because about a year ago, I was like, this community is going to be 400 people. But I think if I'm just transparent with people about like the magnitude of the financial opportunity I'm leaving on the table, I think most people would be cool with it. I guess if they're not, I could give them some sort of prorated refund or something. I don't know. But like realistically, if I change the group size from 400 to 500 to get in the 20 people or so that are currently on the annual wait list, and then get a bunch of other people in that are waiting for monthly, and then it's at 500, people's subjective value will not go down at all. It's actually just going to go up because we're going to have more people in the group. They're going to be more engaged. They're going to be answering more questions. They're going to be more excited. There's going to be a lot more energy. There's going to be more events. I mean, like really people's price that they paid to get in, and some people are still paying like 28, 38 bucks a month, right? Some of the OGs, is like the value they're paying for is only going to go up. So like, I think that this makes sense, but I just wanted to run it by my community to see what they thought. And I think just because I've been so transparent about everything that I've been doing, I think I can get away with it. Like, I think if I were somebody else, and I think if I were like nowhere near as open to how I'm structuring my business, and if I was really opaque and I was just like, so we're increasing the member count, congratulations, everything's going to get so much more exciting, I think a lot of people would feel kind of ripped off. But I believe that I've fostered enough goodwill that I could do this. And then I could also just, I'll make a ton more money. I'll reinvest a lot of the money into the community. It's just going to be a win-win-win for everybody, I think. So that'll help. And the reason why that'll help is because I'm going to continue increasing the price of Maker School, right? I think that increasing the price of Maker School is actually going to continue to help my churn, because typically higher ticket communities churn less, because people that have the money to pay for a 90, whatever we're at now, 95 or $97 a month product are less likely to churn than people that are willing to pay for $50 a month product, simply because they tend to have more funds, right? More money available to them. So I think that's like that's the apple, the golden magic apple. So that's what I need to do today. And I need to figure out what that additional Nick event is going to be in makemoneywithmake.com. And I need to figure out some additional pieces of value that I could add. So maybe what I'll do is, when people do an introduction, I record like a super in-depth customized Loom video. If you think about it from my perspective, churn in this community is going to be quite low, because the vast majority is going to be annual. And then in addition, it's going to be like an upfront $2,000 charge realistically, if you want to get an annual. So I'm only going to have to record like one of these high quality Loom videos a day. Maybe it's 5, 10, 15 minutes, and it's just me diving deep into the person's business with some framework, providing them step-by-step help. And those, 10, 15 minutes, like if you were to pay for my consulting time, you'd be paying for, $500, $700 for that time anyway. So it's like, oh, you might as well just get a video where I say all the same shit I was going to say. Anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to figure out like more leveraged models to do consulting that allows me to firmly deal with people at a mid-ticket level while also opening up my low ticket, increasing the price of my low ticket, and then constantly having everything be really cool. So this is what I'm thinking about. That's really the main thing. I just need to like sort that out today. So I have to do that while also recording a couple of videos because my editor has some additional time. Just wanted to fill you guys in on where I'm at. I think if I were to make this one change, I could realistically continue running this business model from my boxers in my bed for the most part, right? Like obviously I record videos and stuff, but like, a lot of these other business models have high ticket closers that come in and they have some big crazy sales process. But they try and like, they hire a whole team to manage the sales, and then they like try and like manipulate people to get into your program. I hate that. I literally just want to say, here's the price, here's all the value. I've already delivered you a ton of value for free. You're going to get 10x the value in the group. You can make the decision to join. And if you join, you're going to be bought in because you've already worked through it in your head, the ROI, right? I don't want to have to jump on sales call. I don't want to have to do any of this stuff. So if I could construct this business model in a way that enables me not to have to do any of that stuff and then scale, like I believe this solution would allow me to do, it'd just be a win, a massive win, just a huge W. I could probably scale this thing to like 250 to 300K. And I could do so with basically nobody else in the team, which I'm really stoked at the possibility of. Anyway, that's where I'm at. Hopefully you guys are seeing the behind the scenes now of community building. I know that this is a little bit different from a lot of the AI automation agency content that I was producing previously, but this is my main thing now. So I just want to spend some time and focus on it. If you guys have any questions, let me know. If you guys want to check out Maker School for yourself, definitely do. I'm going to be increasing the price to triple digits sometime soon, second that we hit 1,600 members. And I did blow up the other day with one of my videos. So who knows when that's going to be. And then check out makemoneywithmake.com as well, because that price increase is going to be pretty chonky. All right, I'll leave it at that. Thanks. See you tomorrow.